Play to Earn is alive and well in the Illuvium ecosystem. I'm going to show you how much I'm making in-game and how I'm doing it. Welcome to Tokenize360. In this video, we are going to go through how the Bounty Leaderboard works, the fuel requirements and expected earnings, best fuel and time ROIs, as well as tips and tricks for maximizing your earnings, plus a little bonus content at the end. Bounty Leaderboard is at alluvium.io. Go to Overworld, go to Bounty Leaderboard. This will pop up. This is the current earnings, maximum 220, but it scales with the amount of players. Low is $8.8. That is not the full earning that I am making each week. There is more to it. This is just how the leaderboard works. The top 100 is what we are aiming for to get in. Let's go over to the bounties. It takes a minute to load, and here we go. This league's leaderboard is actually relatively muted because if you have a tier 5 stage 3 alluvial to hunt, they're worth about 22 to 2800 points. This is a tier 5 stage 2 alluvial. The pictures don't match the actual alluvial. They're the stage 1 alluvial in the picture, but these are different stages over here. These are the amount of points you get for each of these alluvials. However, it is also important to note that you get bounties for any alluvial based on their stage, tier, and finish. Dark hollows are worth a ton. If you ever find a dark hollow like I did, this one is worth $6 at floor price. Thinking about grabbing this other one, take it off the market for now. Definitely keep this page in mind when we are indexing. You get a 20% bonus in how much you earn off the leaderboard if you collect it in fuel. That is what I'm doing right now. That is how I'm able to sustain earnings and also trying to climb the leaderboard, saving a little bit of fuel for the next week and capturing the alluvials, which have a floor price of anywhere from less than a penny to $30 or more depending on its rarity and finish. Dark hollows and high stat stage 3 tier 5 alluvials are definitely the best two gems you can mine out of this game. There are several different ways to play the game. Auto drone at 2 different tiers, and then manual runs at different tiers. Tier 0 will not net you any leaderboard points. We'll go through the ROI of fuel to points as well as time to points. We'll go through time based first. Obviously, if you're wanting to maximize your time, buy a bunch of fuel, do a bunch of hyper runs. However, this can be very expensive. I have not done a hyper run yet, but based on a charge run, I can kind of infer it's not super efficient as far as points to fuel goes. A charged run, I got 30 points one run and 80 points another run. Less than a point per fuel. Manual runs, different stages. I've not done a stage 3 run because I figure I want plenty of master shards before hopping in there so I can get the most ROI for the fuel I'm spending on the stage 3 run, but it would be very efficient time-wise. You will probably find a lot of high tier on stage 3. Stage 2, you're going to find a lot of tier 3 alluvials, probably a few tier 4 alluvials, maybe a tier 5 alluvial, with stage 3 alluvials being more rare to each of those tiers, which on the bounty leaderboard go for quite a bit of points. If you do it right, you're most likely going to get 2 times your fuel rewards on average out of these runs. So you're spending 150 in fuel, you're getting 250 to 300 points. It does depend a little bit on the luck of the draw and what you find. You could find a stage 3 tier 5 alluvial worth a ton. You could find a dark hollow. And then there is the tier 1 run. You're spending 25 fuel, and if you do it right, you're getting at least a point per fuel, but most of the time you're getting about 100 points per run, so about 4 times the fuel that you input. It is the slow way to go though, because each run takes a bit of time in game and you're only getting 100 points per run. The way the leaderboards has been going, it takes about 1600 to 2000 points to make it onto the leaderboard. Going stage 1, you're likely looking at about 20 runs to make it onto the top 100. Still, that's about $5 in fuel to get $8 in fuel plus the alluvials you capture. Stage 2 is not a bad way to go. It's not a bad ROI on your fuel. It's just not quite as efficient as stage 1 money-wise, but time-wise definitely worth your while. The gems you get lead to higher shards, easier to capture more alluvials. It can be frustrating running out of shards, as you will run out of high-quality shards much faster on a tier 2 run, but you'll also be getting them much faster. It balances out if you play it right, and you can definitely rack up those master shards much quicker on tier 2. So my tips and tricks are focused on actual manual runs, as that's the best ROI for your fuel. Side note, if you want to participate in the fuel economy, you'll want to purchase a land plot and build it up so that you can farm it for fuel rewards, claim through your rewards dashboard as you sell fuel onto the market. A tier 1 or tier 2 run, they are very similar. The tactics between them doesn't really change a whole lot. First thing you're going to do is pick which biome to go to. It does depend on whether you're doing a stage 1 or stage 2 run, which biome you want to go to. Different alluvials are more common on the different biomes. Brightland Steppes has the most wind and nature. Crimson Waste has the most rock and fire, and Abyssal Basin has the most water. Definitely choose which type of run you want to do, and then choose your biome based on the likelihood of finding that tier of alluvial. The first thing you're going to do when you hop into the map is index it. Take a brief look at the heat map to see where you're most likely to find shard outcroppings. They will be green. Most obvious to see this in Brightland Steppes. In Abyssal Basin and Crimson Waste, often you have to look at the pattern of the shard or get close enough to it and check it out on the map to verify which type it is. It is the lazurite you're looking for. Those get you raw shards that in between rounds you're going to craft into shards for actually catching alluvials. And then you have the alluvials themselves. Higher the tier, higher the stage, the more points you get, and of course the specific bounties. You're going to left click to mark each one that might be worth catching, and then go back through and narrow it down to the 4 to 6 best alluvials to catch. You're going to catch at least 4 alluvials per round. It depends on how your shard stash is doing, whether or not you want to catch 5 or 6 alluvials that round, and also depends on how the end game is going to go. Even if you're not after, say, a tier 4 stage 1 alluvial, you still might want to go fight that battle to see if there's any stage 3 or stage 2 that are catchable in it. I would not spend the energy on scanning once you take it down. I would just hop in, play the battle real quick, and hop back out if you don't want anything in there. It takes a little bit more time, but maximizes your fuel. Do enough to win the battle. It's nice to have 2 chances to catch the alluvial with shards. I would recommend having at least 80% chance to catch the alluvial when you throw a shard on it, saving the higher tier shards for better alluvials. But if you don't want to risk it, you can just use a higher tier shard, especially if it's going to be worth a lot of points. You want to make sure to catch that alluvial. As you're catching those 4, you can be collecting green shards as you go. This will be time efficient, but at the same time you're then excluding the possibility of getting 6 alluvials per run. If you go through and index all the green ones as you're going, and then you've caught 4, you can then pick and choose whether you want more shards or more alluvials. The choice is really up to you and how your shard stash is doing. If you go for 6 alluvials, don't worry, you can still get shards. Once you catch that 6 alluvial, the dome will start collapsing. Before you go into that battle, have a path to get the most power you can while going by and harvesting green crystals. So once you get out of that battle, go as fast as you can to as many power sources as you can. Don't be too greedy, as sometimes the purple can outpace your plans and then you're just grasping at straws as it's going past where you wanted to harvest. Brings me to movement. The fastest way to traverse the terrain is to double jump to get high enough to activate your wingsuit. Activate wingsuit for half a second and then jump. This will propel you forward and up a little bit. This can get you quite a bit of distance by repeating. If you're up high enough, staying in the wingsuit is going to get you the most distance, but not quite as fast as the long jump method. When taking down an alluvial, you can use this to keep pace with it. Play around with different movement mechanics as different situations call for different movement to keep pace with that alluvial. Try to never be chasing the alluvial uphill. It is going to be very hard to get enough hits on that while keeping up with it in order to actually catch it before it gets months away. Always try to keep at least one master shard. They are expensive to craft. You can also buy shards off the Illuvium X if you want to shortcut that. Tournaments are Wednesdays to Wednesdays, so if you at all can, be around during the last few hours of the tournament so you can make sure to secure your place. I thought sure I had a far enough lead to stay in the top 50 last week, but enough people passed me up that I was knocked down a tier. Note to the team, if you could put how previous leaderboards worked, that would be wonderful. Get feedback as how you actually did compared to others. Would be amazing. Little bit of Illuvium news. The MMO playtest will be coming out next month. Hoping to share with you some gameplay from that. Super excited to see the ecosystem move forward. Little bit of news from Tokenize360. Make sure to give us a follow on X and hop into our Discord where we're always on the lookout for earning opportunities. One of our favorites at Tokenize360, My Lovely Planet, had 230k rewards randomly airdropped to players. And we've got a Diamonds game night coming up on the 22nd. Hope you can hop in on some of these opportunities with us. Leave a like and a comment down below if you enjoyed this content. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Freelander, and as always, happy hunting.